that we move toward being more competitive in the league.
But the salary is only going up by $10,000.
That we move toward being more competitive in the league.
And there must be another reason. But the salary is only going up by $10,000.
Madam Chair. Yes, sir. And so with that, as Trustee Lawson just mentioned, there is work annually where we work with SVP Brown and her team to close a gap. And we are continuing to do that for this year. And so as we look at more sustainable revenues to be able to support higher salaries and compensation for all of our coaches, really, so that we can again be competitive in the league. We are new to this league and looking at being able to manage our representation and where we are, that is top of mind as well.
The other question I have is the experience of recruiting. I didn't see anything like that in the proposal, but what is the history of the current coach's ability to attract, top-notch students?
Certainly. Madam Chair. Thank you. Thank you again, Trustee Ellison. And so with Coach Crarey coming in as late in the season as he did, his contract was signed in August of this past year for a one-year agreement. He was able to recruit talent that has us sitting now for the first time in a long time. We're tied for number 3, and the two institutions, well, the 3 institutions, because there's a tie for second place, and there's Southern is sitting at the top. With that, we've not been in that position for quite some time, and we've never been in that position here in the new league that we're in the SWAC. And so he was able to bring some guys together, new guys that were recruited to the team since his arrival in August, and also be able to show immediate success.
Is there any other unreadiness before the committee votes? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, please show by the sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Congratulations to Coach Crarey.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move into informational items. We'll hear from Dr. Palm on the first informational item.
Okay. All right. All right, guys, just wanted to come on real quick and kind of recap what happened. Once again, FAMU's AD, AD Suggs, hey, man, move forward and got Coach Crarey his money, got him a contract. So that was a really big thing. As you know, a lot of you all are following SWAC basketball, had some really big wins. I mean, a big win down at Texas Southern, a big win at Prairie View. So again, a lot of things. There's been a lot of stuff going on at FAMU, as you guys know. But I think, like I said, AD saw the value of Coach Crarey and what he's doing. So I'm super excited, and I'm excited for Coach because, politics happens at HBCUs, but really the big thing now is that we can move forward with a coach. Shout out to AD19, getting that man some more money. How about that? That's a big thing. Allowing him to get some more money. There's some bonuses. As a matter of fact, over his contract, I think he can earn another $100,000 in bonuses, which should be very easy to hit. So, again, even though he's at 160, I believe, with the bonuses that he should hit, that should get him right around $210,000. So, again, that will push him up, right into the middle of the pack. But here's another thing, too. So, and just to kind of break this down for you guys, is that he's getting the contract he should have gotten. So he was going to get 3 years. So now he's got the one that he's playing out, 2 more additional years. But the thing about it is because now he's only getting the 2 additional years, that allows him to re-up. So if I'm Coach Crarey, and if we're projecting what it is, that basically allows him to get, as they say, free agency a little bit quicker, a year earlier, instead of Coach telling AD Suggs saying, hey, let's give him 3 years. So basically he would have been stuck for 4. I'm basically getting underpaid. So, I'm really excited about that. I think this is a really good deal. And for FAMU basketball, for a lot of people that know SWAC basketball and know MEAC basketball, even going back for FAMU, because that's where we were at before we got to the SWAC, I think this is just a really, really good deal for FAMU. And like I said, I'm excited for the coach. And this goes back to, and I got to say this, when you have an AD that has the political capital to make, some of these moves. But, like I say, let's give a shout out to our former AD. She saw Coach Sykes. She had a relationship with him. She made a really good call. And I want to be clear. I think most people, sane people, supported the hire because we saw what kind of coach he was. We thought he had the ability to coach on this level. But again, and let's be honest, you guys have seen a lot of these meetings and things. There was a contention between the board of trustees and our former AD. And as you guys know, you got to be a consensus builder. So now we're in a good shape. So now everybody's rowing in the same direction. So, what do you guys think about it? Do you think it's fair that, what he's gotten? Should he got more money? Should he just wait and let it play out the year and leave FAMU? What do you guys think in the chat, while we're kind of on for a little bit? Just want to see what you guys are thinking about. But, Emmett Jones said, once again, as a coach with a proven record in NAIA. So, yeah, this shows that, again, you don't have to go the celebrity coach route. There are excellent coaches at lower levels that have shown their resume. And, even on the football side, we kind of seen that with Tremaine Jackson going over to Prairie View. So I guess a couple of those things that you really want to know is why are we not hiring the coaches from lower levels to coach at our schools? I think that's a really, really good deal. So for 1974, yeah, he's going to sign it. She wouldn't have put this out there if they had not basically had a informal agreement. That's why she moved forward. Coach wants to be here. He's excited being at FAMU. So I think that, I think that's the deal. So I'm excited that she put that out there. So, yeah, just to kind of answer that question, yeah, they had a discussion, and I think this is an informal agreement. So I don't think anything's going to change with that. Mandre said, I'd be out of there. They didn't want me to start with. No, well, let's say this, Mandre. The board, it had nothing to do with coach. He was more of collateral damage because coach is proven they can coach. It was more of just the situation between our former AD and the board of trustees, and they kind of spoke on that. But I think now there is a level of trust and comfort on both sides. And again, coach is coaching. Coach is really, really coaching. So, like I said, I'm super excited about that. And I look forward to it because, again, and I think everybody in HBCU, one of the great ways to really get money is through basketball. Because, like I said, if you get to the tournament, hey, man, those are $1 million plus payouts. So, again, you're talking about hit the bottom line because of all of us looking at, and I'll tell you, and all you guys know this, basketball coaches, unfortunately, they have a really hard task because in their contract, they got to play money games. And I'm talking about multiple money games. That's why when you see us in December and we've got these poor records going into SWAC play or MEAC play, that's why we've got 8, 9, 10 losses because those games in their contract, they got to go raise $500,000. They got to go raise $600,000. So, I think that's what it is. Now, Ford said, I would roll out. You didn't believe me then. Now, here's the thing. I kind of respect that. But the question is, do you take a bird in the hand versus 2 in the bush? So that's the thing. So now he's got job security. He wants to be at FAMU. I think that's a really big deal because he wants to be there. Because I think, honestly, if he didn't want to be there, he kind of would have probably told AD Suggs, yeah, we'll just see what the rest of the year is. Because, to your point, that's what I would have done. Because he could just play it out, right? And the same thing could happen. But I think he wants to be at FAMU. That's why AD Suggs put some chips on the table and say, hey, we need to make this happen. Because as you heard the board of trustees say, you know what? We weren't supposed to do this until June. And everybody knows, unfortunately, with FAMU Board of Trustees, they kind of have a process and respect to how they move. But I think everybody saw that we don't want to mess this up. We've got a really good coach. Let's not wait until June. Let's let this be a spectacle, because everybody knows this would have been a spectacle. And then also, to your point, somebody might have came and grabbed him and offered him a better deal. But I think now there's an opportunity for him to grow, because again, there are bonuses in that contract where he can really make some good money. So that's what I do now. How does the NCAA tournament unions work for the SWAC? OC unit. D-Lo B2010. I think it's kind of almost the same. I think that it's not spread. I think you get the bulk of the money, and then the conference gets their piece. But I think, and I have to look this up, so don't quote me on this. I think it's 70-30 to the school, 30 back to the SWAC. If I remember, I think we had this discussion before. So I think that's what it is. So, let's see here. I think it's right now. I think he'll really start to recruit. Hey, Marching 100, bro, great point, because recruiting had to be hard. Recruiters, recruiting, you go in there, and of course, well, coach, are you going to even be there? So I think that's a great point. And you can see that he can coach, and clearly he has an eye for talent, because he went in that portal and got some guys that I didn't think were going to play to this level, but that goes to coach and how he's developing these guys. So again, I'm just trying to kind of answer some of these, some of these points that you guys, which are great points that you're making in the chat. Hey, James ever said, if he's smart, take the deal now. If he continues to win a big pro. Hey, listen, James, bro, that's the point. Take the deal, get the money locked in, and then to your point, he can always leave. And it happens all the time. So I think from a business standpoint, this is a great business move on both sides, right? So he goes in, because I don't think, and to be honest with you, I don't think coach is going to leave. I think he's going to let it play out. But if he can get FAMU to the tournament, get FAMU 20-win team, then of course people are going to come looking at him, and that's part of the game also. So I think that's a big deal. He brings energy to the arena. You got yourself a good one. I can see you being in March. Now, Mature Mickens, here's the thing. I'm not in Tallahassee. Our AD has set up an outstanding VIP section, and also got a great season ticket package. So the real thing is, now we got to show up. We got to show up to the basketball games. So to your point, and we got a big, and I saw this, I just saw this. We're having a basketball homecoming weekend, which I think we haven't had since I was in school, and that was back in the 80s. I think that is real exciting to do that, to have, and I hope this is something that is an annual thing that we do, but we have that. So who is that we just joined us?
Hey, Coach Madre Allen, how you doing, man?
What's going on, man? Madre, hey, man, appreciate you coming on. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I can't complain, man. Appreciate y'all letting me come in, man. FAMU was a really interesting job in basketball circles. I had a lot of college coaches ask me about it when the job came open, and everybody asked me the same thing, was like, can you really win there? And I felt like absolutely, right? But like, everybody got to be pulling in the same direction. And from what I saw, what happened with Pat, man, it was like, man, you can't give me no 1-year deal, and my deal don't start until August.
Yeah.
So like, I don't even know how he did that, to be honest. Like the work that he had to do before he officially started work.
Yeah. Like
to try and go recruit. Not officially having a summer, right?
Yeah.
Was really tough. Then the schedule, when you look at the schedule and how many high majors that they had to go play, right? You talking about multiple ACC teams,
yeah,
multiple SEC teams. So my other question would be, and I've seen other coaches do that. That's not, I don't want to point that out and make it seem like that's an HBCU thing. I was around when Amir Abdul-Rahim had to do the same thing at Kennesaw State.
Right.
Right. So it's not like that's, peculiar, but how much of that money do you get to keep to continue to build the basketball program? Like that's would be a point of contention if it were me, right? Like that's fine. I'll raise money for the school, but like I can't do 10 games against Power 5 competition and we just turn all of that over. Like we don't get to keep none of it.
Yeah, well, I think, and for everybody, man, listen, I can tell You know, and maybe you tell us a little bit about your background. Clearly, you know about basketball. So, what's your mentor? What's your background? Have you coached? Have you played? You're a basketball aficionado? Because clearly, like you say.
So I did. I still do basketball podcasting. I cover basketball for the media. I cover HBCU basketball. So I do a coaches show for Coach Cabral Huff over at Edward Waters.
Okay.
So I've done it for Voorhees as well. Also, I coached AAU. I was an AAU director here in the state of Georgia.
Oh, yeah.
So I have a lot of relationships to see a lot of coaches, deal with a lot of college coaches that get around. So that's
now.
are
you in Atlanta Metro?
I am.
Okay,
and
so yeah, you know how hot this AAU scene in Atlanta is. So you know basketball there.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. So you know when I see a lot of coaches as they start to come through Atlanta. I was also a part of a group that kind of tried to start connecting the dots specifically for HBCU coaches.
Okay.
So what we tried to do is start a group of this was during COVID.
Yeah.
Conference calls to where we would introduce any HBCU coach that joined in our conference call. We would start helping them connect the dots with high school coaches that had players. So my group was introducing and making those introductions and kind of telling them about the different kids that were here and helping them kind of connect to the right AAU teams, the right high school teams to kind of get players. So always been an HBCU basketball advocate.
Man, listen, this is the thing. First, I appreciate you jumping on. This is going to be a really good, we'll probably go for another 20 minutes or so because I'm a big basketball guy. And you just hit it right on the head about the connections and things like that. But let's kind of talk about it. And shout out to my nephew, Josh, our former SID. Now he's up there at Kent State doing and still checking in on his boys and stuff like that. But here's the big deal. As you well know, they put in their contract. You got to play so many games. Yep. I know that, and I speaking because the contract will be public, I know some of that money will definitely go back to basketball to help with recruiting and things like that. Because again, and I'll just say this: so everything's a building block, right? We had our former AD. Listen. I have said my piece about my, but no. But
you got to get her flowers, bro.
Yeah, bro. Listen, let me tell you something. And see, I'm an old school basketball guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I told Coach Gordon, I remember Coach Gordon playing at Tennessee. People don't understand. Coach Gordon started the Mount Rushmore at the University of Tennessee. Okay.
Yep.
So that was the Candace Park and all them. Coach Gordon was first.
Right.
So that to me was an excellent hire. Coach Crarey, I'm a big basketball guy. I knew people that know him. They said, hey man, listen, y'all got a diamond in the rough. They said, bro, that guy right there,
he can go.
So you got to give it credit, man. See, that's why I don't understand. We're in the situation where we just can't say, hey, man, that's good. This is this and this is that. So I'm not one of those people that just because I don't like you, I can't respect what you're doing, right?
100%.
So my thing is let's give her credit for those two great hires. So now here's the next part of it. But let's also respect the fact that, okay, she's moved on to another job. That's fine. The new AD is there. So what does the new AD do? So the new AD says, okay, this is what we have. We got a coach that is showing improvement. I'm not going to do the old FAMU way. Let's wait until June, right?
Right.
And then and then to your point, he's in limbo, right? Because you know this. Hey, man, that in June, bro, you're going to circuit games. Like, hey,
bro, look, and before that, really, like, here's the thing. And I will give FAMU credit on this because you have to understand how the timeline works. Right? Like the timeline, actually, you don't want him being unknown or have his contract situation unknown. Forget June, forget live period. That happens in May. You don't want him going to the Final Four. Right? Which is for coaches, nothing but a networking and hiring convention. Right?
Correct.
You don't want him showing up to the Final Four, not having his situation squared away. Because that is when some high major coach comes on and says, hey, man, I can give you what you're making there as an assistant. Come work with us. Right? University of Florida.
And listen,
Florida
State want to kind of tell people.
Right
so let's talk about that because I understand. So around Final Four, why don't you tell people what you're talking about, what happens, what the coaches come and find. They have their coaches associated meet, and also the black coaches also meet. The major coaching association has their meeting, and then the black coaches basically have a sub meeting from there. Am I correct on that?
That's correct. That's correct. And just generally, I want to make sure my dog don't start barking, man. My bad.
No problem.
Yeah. So generally, the Final Four is when not only do those meetings take place, but it is a kind of a who's who when it comes to basketball. So when I look at Pat's situation, right, the Florida State job is open right now.
Right.
We all know Leonard Hamilton is stepping down. Florida State is open, right? When you get Pat, who has such a big name in the state of Florida, if they hire any of Leonard Hamilton's former assistants, if they hire CY, if they hire Stan Smith, those guys know Pat. They understand. Everybody may not understand Pat's value, but basketball people do, right? So if he walks in the Final Four, Florida State names their new head coach or whatever, there is no, like, there's going to be a lot of question, or especially if Pat keeps it rolling like he has right now. Like, if he make noise in the SWAT tournament and all that, like that, people are going to take notice to that. Again, like that Final Four is just a giant coaches convention and networking convention for coaches. Like most of your assistant coaches are hired, or guys are picked up based off of the networking that takes place at the Final Four. So like that's I will give your AD credit for that. You dodged a major bullet by going ahead and get this squared away and take care of right now.
Listen, not what I'm gonna tell you. It's funny about that. Dodged a bullet, but had to take a bullet because if I don't know if the sound cut on, because again, one of the board of trustees said, "Hey, we're not even supposed to be doing this till June." Explain to me why we're doing this now, even though it's kind of more of a setup. You know what I mean? That they kind of agreed to it. But she had to take those bullets to go, first of all, put this on the calendar, right? Talk to the people at B and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. Those people could have voted that down, bro. Think about that.
Oh, my goodness.
Now think about the chip that she had to put on the table and belief that she had the credit to say, hey, I want this coach. Hey, because listen, okay, you've been following this. Let's roll this back. Our former AD said, I want to give him a 3-year contract. She thought that was going to be pretty standard. What they say, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to give him 1 year.
Right.
And the whole thing blew up. Do you think because there's no way she would have even put him in that position. Because first of all, he wouldn't even take it if he thought he was going to get a 1-year contract, right?
Right.
So we can't say that could not have happened again. So that goes to the point of how well coach is doing, that as they say, his work speaks for himself, and that our new AD said, hey, I know how to maneuver and navigate these waters, right? And this is the time because see, let me tell you something. She knows that timeline too, right? Because you got to understand something. Our AD knows other ADs, right? And 100%. You don't think that, hey, Ashley Robinson say, hey, listen, my girl, you might want to get your boy in the contract. This is how we lose coaches.
Hey, man, I said it on my show because there are other coaches in that same situation. When I look at whoever's running the show at Clark Atlanta right now, y'all better get Alfred Jordan a contract. That man won the league last year, went to the D2 national tournament, and is in the top 3 this year. Again, like, you cannot let these coaches go into a lame duck year and just expect because they look how they look that they're gonna stay. Like Clark lost the coach to Little Rock, Arkansas, playing around with that game before. You don't want to play that game. Like our coaches that are great, and Pat is great, take care of them. And I think that was big. It was really big to do it now. Like it was big. It does allow him to go into the gym because like I said, live period happens in May. The Final Four happens in April. I don't know what Pat's staff is like. If he wants to make staff additions and things like right now, like that's the other thing. You had Pat out here trying to put a staff together and you only got a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
Like, who knows what his preferences, and I'm not knocking his staff. Obviously, they've done a great job. But, like, that's a harder sell, right? Than we got 3 to build what we're trying to build. Now he's in a position to where even if he wants to make some changes on his staff or improvements or additions to his staff, now he's got a little more breathing room to be able to do that. It's a lot of positive that comes from getting it done right now.
Well, let me put this out to you. So you follow SWAC basketball. You got Southern #1 at 10-1 in the conference. Bethune-Cookman, amazingly, is 8-3 in the conference. Hey, man, shout out to Reggie Theus.
Getting it done.
Yeah, getting it done. Jackson State's 8-3. FAMU 7-4. Texas Southern 7-4. Alcorn 7-4. So you're talking about the basketball powers that have been dominant or all bunched together with FAMU 7-4 with a big game against Jackson State this Saturday. So a couple of things. How big is that Jackson State game for Coach? And what do you think the trajectory going forward is? And also, it looks like we got a question. Kind of what do you think if you know, which is not a problem, Grambling coming back down to earth?
Well, I mean, I kind of expected Grambling to come back down to earth. I mean, they had an amazing run last year. But you kind of expected that a little bit. They'll need a year or so to kind of bounce back and get it back. But man, the future is bright with FAMU. I mean, that Jackson State game is going to be a big game. But I would say with Pat, man, like, you playing with house money right now.
Yeah.
Now you just trying to spoil it for everybody else. Like, I mean, not that he shouldn't think about trying to win the league, right? Like, you recruited guys to try and go win the league, and you're in position to be able to kind of do that. You know, we all know how to drill, kind of how it works, right? Like, you got to win out. You're going to have to win the conference or the conference tournament. You got to put yourself in a good position to win conference tournament to get to that play-in or that first four kind of game in the NCAA tournament. And then it just kind of depends on your draw, right? But right now, Pat playing with house money.
Well,
right?
Well, here's the thing, and why that game is so big, because if you got Southern sitting at number one, right? If you can get in that 2-3 spot, then you're on the opposite side of the bracket from Southern.
Yeah.
So if you get that 2-3 spot, then you don't have to see Southern, you know, again, if it plays out. And then you're talking about a one-game situation, you know. And I think the tournament this year is in Atlanta. So here's the thing. The tournament's in Atlanta, correct?
It is. And I'm excited about that. This will be my first year going to this fight tournament. I missed last year in Birmingham. I was at the SIAC stuff, but I'm looking forward to being there this year.
Well, here's the thing. You're talking about Atlanta. That's FAMU North. Can
Facts.
you see FAMU and Southern?
Yeah.
Or, you know, if Jackson State is in that 1-4, you know what I mean? On that, and you got a Southern versus FAMU or Southern versus Jackson State type, or if it just stays the way it is, you're talking Jackson State Southern rivals, Bethune-Cookman FAMU rivals. And if you some kind of way can have that on both sides of the bracket, man, you're talking about a tournament that people are going to show up for. Because you're talking about
and you got a homecoming for some of the guys on that FAMU roster. You got some Atlanta kids on that roster. So, like, it definitely should be. Once you get to that, I agree with you though. You do want to avoid. You want to avoid that number one seed. You want to avoid Southern, man, if you can.
Yeah. You want to get on that other side of the bracket. So I just think that's just an opportunity, you know, just to see that. But one of the things too, which I think, which all ADs, you just want to get your house in order. I think that's the biggest thing.
You do.
You know, because it's the two things that, of course, you're going to be held, you know, fundraising, which I think AD is going to do an amazing thing because of her connections. But also, if you can have continuity with your coaches, which means that they're winning, that makes it very easy to be a good AD. Ashley Robinson proved that. Ashley Robinson went out to Jackson State, made great hires all the way up and down his roster of athletics.
Yes,
makes the job easy because now he can just focus on raising money, making better facilities, and empowering the coaches. But if you got where the coaches are constantly leaving and going out, and then your money's not right, then you're not going to have a successful athletic program. So I think that's kind of the first step now. We got football. We got our football coach. We got our men's basketball coach. Our baseball coach is successful. Our volleyball coach is successful. We got our women's basketball coach. So now all of those things for FAMU are starting to align. And then again, what we talked about, and like I said at the beginning, the biggest moneymaker is getting in that tournament. Now you want your budget to be balanced. If you can get to that tournament, and like I say, we have had HBCUs have had tremendous success in that first four game. That's why with people, I have friends of mine, they're like, man, why do HBCUs take that first four game? I said, they're smart. Because they basically get a 2-for-1. Because they win that first game, that's a check.
Facts.
Then they were going to already be the 15, 16 seed anyway. So why not get a check, win, get that check, and then go play? And then, hey, man, listen, I've been around. I've seen Coppin State win. I've seen Southern win.
I was there when Hampton made their run.
I've seen Hampton win.
I've watched Norfolk State win.
Norfolk State, come on. Hey, man, I go all the way back when Alcorn, when it was 48 and Alcorn made a run. So you can get positioned to get as they say, get a check.
I'm going to say one thing that's going to piss a lot of people off, but I'm going to say it because I feel like I have to say it, man. I want people to understand HBCU athletics are so much closer to competing at a high level nationally in basketball than they are in football.
Yeah.
And I wish people would see that.
Preach.
You have to get behind these great basketball coaches and these great teams because they are so much closer to competing against the Power Fives and winning than we are on the football side. Not saying that football can't get
No.
It just takes a lot more, but basketball is there.
Well, let me give you a scenario on that, right? And I'm going to use a football scenario, right? But apply to basketball. What if you in basketball would have got a Travis Hunter, the number 1 player?
Yes. And
then you get the number 10 player. You're better than everybody already that you're going to play against.
Which it can happen. I mean, like what we're talking about is some money, right? And everybody thinks about NIL, which NIL is one piece of it financially for the player, right? But the next thing is you got to be able to cover the draft insurance. If you can cover the insurance, you have some guys already at HBCUs. We're not talking about guys that you need to go hire, right? We're not talking about star power guys. We're talking about guys that are currently in their job, in a role today that can recruit kids at that level, but you have to give them the tools and the ability to do it. You got to be able to cover the insurance, right? And you got to be able to have some sort of NIL initiative that will allow the kids to make so even if it's a discount, even if you're getting them at a discount, you got to get within range, right? Yeah. It's absolutely doable, can be done. To me, honestly, FAMU is one of those institutions that has probably the best chance to succeed. You guys have the name. I'm sorry, jerseys do play a part of it. You have the look, right? You have a great academic institution, and you're in a place where people want to be.
Yeah.
Like it's there. It that board is a whole nother situation. But everything else is there for FAMU to be, I would say, down the line, even better than where I think Norfolk State is. And in my opinion, Norfolk State is solidified itself as a mid-major basketball program.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's a travesty that they are a 15, 16 seed. They are a mid-major program. You can go look at the schedule and look at the teams they beat. They are solidified in that mid-major plus range, in my humble opinion.
So with that being said, and we kind of expanding this a little bit. So when you see a team like a Norfolk State, so how do they move to, and again, the building block of a Gonzaga, do they have to constantly say, hey, let me go play the ACC. Let me knock off a North Carolina. Let me knock off a Duke. Let me beat a Maryland. I'm talking about people that, you know what? Let me beat a Virginia. Let me go to Virginia, beat them, and then consistently do that where people start to say, hey, because then one hand wash the other, right? Because now what you got players saying, well, man, hey, I can go to Norfolk State a la like Gonzaga, and I can make runs. And I think a lot of things too, again, and this happens with basketball. The basketball players, I think they're grouped closer together than football players because of the strength of side. Because you get a guy like, and I'll go to Duke, when you had those guys 1, 2, and 3, Zion and the other guy, and then Cam Reddish, they were 1, 2, and 3. Zion was the third guy in that ranking.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think a lot of people understand that.
Cam Reddish was that guy.
Cam Reddish was 2. RJ was 1. He was the number 1 recruit.
Yes.
I have seen that where those guys get together and then it kind of moves forward. So my point of it is in basketball, you can have a guy, because then you do have guys, like I say, LeBron to Cooper Flag, that's so far ahead. But there are a lot of times the one ain't that far from the 8 or 9 guy, because you see where you see it in the draft, you know. So that's why I think there's opportunities, to your point. So, well, no, we might not be able to get the number 1 guy, but to your point, if you get guys 15 to 25 to 30 that are in that pro type level player, you get 2 of those guys, and then maybe they stick around a year or 2, augment with the portal, then you're building something. I think there's just so much opportunity. You know, I think there's so much opportunity.
I agree. It's a ton of opportunity, man. And I look at it like this: like, can you get enough NIL to where you can go get a high level, even Division II player, right? Now you're seeing D2 players move up every day and go get $50,000, $75,000 and go produce at the next level. Same thing with JUCO guys, same thing with NAIA guys. You're seeing those guys. The issue was never talent. The issue was it's only 15 scholarships, man.
Right.
Like, there's I don't think people understand that. Just like you went and got an NAIA coach and he's great at the Division I, there are players that are great that can be great at that level as well. That'll take you a little less NIL money to get it done. Can you use the portal to your advantage? Some guys that have been great. Can you get a kid that is maybe like a Middle Tennessee State level kid or a Eastern Kentucky level kid to come in and come to FAM, right? You work the portal and win. You're gonna have it. All is gonna start from winning in the NCAA tournament. You gotta
I have a rule, and I've always said this for the FAMUs, the Southerns, the North Carolina A&T, the big brand, right? HBCU brands, right? Jackson States and things like that. We should not be losing out the kids that's going to a school that has a direction in its name. If it's some Northwest State, Southwest this, Eastern that, bro, we already know that school is not the level of our school. That's my thing. Go if that guy's going somewhere that has a direction in the name, we should be able to recruit him automatically.
I would agree, but also too, I think one of the things, and I don't know if this is a focus as much. Kids that value academics often make choices off the beaten path. I think those kids should absolutely be targets for a school like FAM.
Yeah.
High academic kids that would choose, like if you look at when Yale made their run in the NCAA tournament, right? We've seen Harvard make runs in the NCAA tournament. We've seen Princeton was a staple making runs year after year in the NCAA tournament. Like FAM's got a lot to offer academically.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that is in the discussion enough with some of these recruits that are high-level kids that could go wherever they want, but based on academics may choose to go off the beaten path a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because I think, but that's why I think for all HBCUs, that's where our superpower lies at, right?
I agree.
I think that if you look at, we're not talking about the Power Fives thing. I'm going to go back to my analogy, the directional schools. Those schools were built for people that couldn't get into the major schools. So they're not academic powerhouses.
Yes.
Our schools were built for us, and we created them to be academic powerhouses. And the networking, you know what I mean? And it's not just if you go to FAM, it's just the overall network. So if you go, and again, if you're one of these name brand HBCUs, there's so many things that you can point to that say, if you stay here, look at what you're going to get. You're going to get a great education that you're not going to get that. Because, hey, I would do it like they want to hit us with facilities. I'm going to hit them. Hey, that degree is worthless. I would hit them just like that. I would, because they're going to say, oh, why are you going to go down there? They don't have the pretty waist. And I said, they got pretty waist and that degree is worthless.
100%. We
got CEOs. So that's the thing about it. So it's just opportunities there in basketball that I think, again, but and this kind of goes back to the footprint we're at, right? We're in a football footprint. So that's the thing about it. How do we get basketball? And I'm talking SWAC now, because the MEAC, again, has a basketball imprint. They understand it. But the SWAC, because, again, look at the SEC. the SEC understood that, hey, man, we better start investing in basketball. And I think I saw that the SEC has, like, out of the top 10 coaches, I think they got 7 of the highest paid coaches. I think I just saw that. There's a reason for that. Because they're like, hey, man, if we can make these deep runs, even if we don't make it to the Final Four, this is bringing more money than the one bowl game that we're going to go to.
Hey, man, and it's so doable, man. It's so, and I just want to emphasize that part. But you got to pack out that gym, man. You got to support them. I think there needs to be more people like yourself, more shows that are kind of highlighting and talking about what's going on, and covering HBCU basketball. The SWAC does an amazing job of covering football. I mean, the media output for football in the SWAC is second to none. Like, I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky, so I'm a Louisville Cardinal fan through and through.
Yeah, but Denny Crum and the boys.
I find more SWAC football content, even more than I see for University of Louisville that's in the ACC. Yeah. Man, y'all cover that thing like nobody's business. It's got to happen for basketball.
Yeah, well, that's our DNA. That's the thing about it. That's our DNA. And again, that's the footprint. Again, I honestly, in the SWAC, there were really, I see some people talk. In the SWAC, Texas Southern was a basketball school. Alcorn, they had a proud football tradition, but Dave Whitney was an excellent basketball coach. So the two basketball schools were Alcorn and Texas Southern. And they kind of like roll on that. But again, because of where we were at, not a lot of people investing in going to the games, not putting the same, because even the game day experience is even different, right? To what you're saying. Mm-hmm. So what I've seen a lot of people, hey, man, I heard that Alabama A&M has a tremendous game day experience. You know, that's what I'm hearing. I know our AD is like, hey, let's have this VIP section where you can eat good, and we're going to let the students in, and we're going to move the student section around. Prairie View has an amazing gym. You know what I mean? Amazing gym.
Yes.
You know, so I think, again, if we put more into the game day experience, because another thing, too, with us, you know who you got to get there first? You got to get the students to get involved, because they're right there on campus. They're right there on campus, because those games are sometimes in the week, sometimes the Friday. So alumni can't just drive there unless you're local and things like there was a big Saturday game. So you've got to figure out a way to get the students into those games and things like that. So I really believe that there's just a tremendous opportunity that many of us can take, as schools can take advantage of with basketball and really go forward. So I'm super excited to see. And I like, again, you see it in another thing too, but you're also seeing in the SWAC. And like I said, the coaching hires, the coaches that they're hiring are starting to be elevated. And on the women's side, especially, really good depth of women coaches.
I got to tap in on the women's basketball side with FAM. I've only been watching Howard and Norfolk State mostly. I got to tap in on the women's side at FAM.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm going to say this. On the women's side, hey, Alabama A&M is doing their thing. Jackson State doing their thing. Coach Gordon, I know, is building something, but I think it's pretty good. But hold on, but I want to give somebody that flower, because I think I saw something too on the women's side that, wait a minute, and because we're talking about the women, I want to be accurate on something. I think, wait a minute, because I think, hold on, who is leading the women sports? Because I saw something that I did not know. Because I'm throwing out names, but I want to give out something real quick since we're talking about this. I'm pulling up the SWAC standards because I think I saw this just the other day. I was kind of shocked by this. Pull up the one. Texas Southern women are 11-0, which is utterly amazing. So you're talking about 11-0 for Texas Southern's women. So that's really a big deal. Texas Southern's women, Jack State behind them at 9-2, Southern right there at 9-2, Alabama A&M 8-3. So, you know, like I say, Texas Southern is getting it, you know, for the women. So that again, not a traditional women's power basketball, but again, that goes to people that are seeing the value of getting these great coaches. And again, like I say, Houston's a basketball town. Texas Southern knows their DNA. So they say, hey, we can be good on the men's, let's be good on the women's side.
Got to do it, man. It is money for the school. Like you said, at the end of the day, those tournament games, they pay out. Those, of course, the money games are going to pay out, but getting to the tournament, and it also it increases enrollment.
Yeah.
Every year they look at schools that make it. When you talk about Gonzaga, right? And the benefit that the basketball team was to their enrollment. Same thing with Butler as a small school. When they had their run in basketball, increased their enrollment. So those are things that we have to do on the HBCU side as well. I mean, they are doing it. I think, like I said, this was a great step in the right direction.
Well, good. Well, listen, hey man, I appreciate you coming on. I'm not gonna hold you. Like I said, this was a great impromptu. Hey man, we gotta have you back on, man. Like I said, we do the Coaches Corner on Tuesday. I'll get Scott to have you on, hey man, because we need more people to talk basketball. That is really a big deal, and one of my focuses to really talk basketball. Hey, and let's get a recap. Hey, FAMU's AD Angela Suggs has just gone in front of Florida A&M's board to get a contract extension for Coach Patrick Crarey, 2-year extension. Multiple bonuses, a raise that comes along that. So now FAMU has their head coach. Big weekend for FAMU basketball. And like I said, we'll see what's going forward. So, hey, we appreciate all you guys, coming on. And like I say, again, Scotty is heading out to Las Vegas to host a HBCU roundtable with a bunch of coaches. So hopefully that might be able to get streamed. And Scotty will be back next week. And hey, you'll catch me on the HBCU Coaches Corner every Tuesday. Hey, we had Coach T Buck on, so we're going to have a lot of great coaches. So hey, appreciate you guys joining us, man. And like I say, hey, this is your bishop. Hey man, we had the bishop's pulpit with my man Andre. You know what I'm saying? We had to go to church on him a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Guest preacher came on with me. You know what I mean? Hey man, but I really appreciate you jumping on, man. Thanks a lot.
No doubt. Anytime, brother.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one. Thanks.